God spoke to Abram about leaving his home, his countrymen, and all that was familiar to him to go to a land that he knew not of. He didn't have any details or any concrete information. He simply had to listen to God, be obedient, and go. Now, that's another lesson for another day, because that is what you call faith. In giving Abram his instruction, God made many promises to him. He would make him into a great nation. He would bless him. He would make his name great, and he would bless those who blessed him and curse those who cursed him. In Abram, all the families of the earth would be blessed. Those are some awesome promises, wouldn't you say? But let's look a little deeper into this. How would you feel if God spoke this to you? Sure, you had to pick up and leave all that you held dear. Sure, you didn't know where you were going, and sure, you were going to have to face your spouse, who God did not tell this particular news, that they would have to uproot their life as well. The promises were awesome, yes, but they did not come without a sacrifice on Abram's part. Somehow, in the midst of all of this, Abram's nephew Lot went with him. This seemed to be slipped into the story in Genesis 12:4. Here, Abram is moving out, and somehow Lot ends up going with him. I guess it seems simple enough. No big deal. He was family. Abram would have more company. Seems like a good thing. Well, it may have started out that way, but just one chapter over, we read that Abram and Lot separate. What? What happened? Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and silver and gold. Lot wasn't such a slouch either, as he also had flocks, herds, and tents. Because they both had so much, the land could not maintain them together. Quarreling began between Abram's men and Lot's. This could not continue, so a discussion was had and a compromise was made. Abram allowed Lot to choose the land that he wanted to move to for himself, and Abram would go the other way. Now, mind you, Abram was the one who was spoken to by God. Lot simply went along for the ride. You wonder if Lot obtained his wealth because of his association with Abram. Maybe, maybe not. But this move was about Abram, not him. You would think that because Abram extended his good graces and allowed Lot to go along, when the decision had to be made, Lot would allow Abram to make the choice and have the better part of the land. You would think that, but that's not the case. Genesis 13:10 says that Lot looked around and saw the land that was well watered and looked good, just like the garden of the Lord. So, Lot chose for himself the better part of the land, leaving Abram to go the other direction. Abram went to Canaan, while Lot went to live near Sodom and Gomorrah. Uh-oh, I'm sure you heard those names before. Let's just say that that was not a good place to live. The decision that Lot made was not a good one. We'll talk about this more in detail next week. For now, the separation took place and the two men parted. Here was an ending. I am sure it must have been a difficult one as well, as Lot was Abram's nephew. He was his traveling companion. He started out on the journey with him, but now it looked like he wasn't going to finish it. Well, before we get all down in the dumps because of this seeming ending, let's just read a little further. Genesis 13:14 says that the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had parted with him, "Now look up." Abram was to look around in all directions because the Lord was going to give what he saw to him and his offspring. Abram still had God's promise and his blessing, even after the split. So, what are we to learn about this portion of the story about Abram and Lot? First of all, when God promises us something, we must remember that he has spoken to us and not necessarily anybody else. I have heard it said that when God speaks to you, it is a one-on-one call, not a group chat. Others don't have to sign off on what God has told you. He has spoken, we should believe it, and that should settle it, whether others agree or not. Our job is to obey. Another good point is that not everyone who starts out with you on your journey will end up with you. There may come a time when something may happen along the way and a separation must take place. It may hurt for a while. It may not seem fair. Conflict may come and a change must take place. But that's okay, because what may seem to be ending may actually be a beginning for the next thing that God is going to do in your life. If you find yourself in a situation where you may have started out with some, but it doesn't seem to be ending that way, just keep moving. Keep walking and know that this is not the end. Some people are a part of your history and not your destiny, and that's okay. Appreciate the time you had together and move on. Be encouraged. It's not over. Now look up.